Hello guys, in today's video I am going to tell the story of the monsters from the Mimic. Let's start with Hiochi. Hiochi suffered miserably whole being under the care of Kintoru. As a puppy, thankfully she had her mother to comfort her. 320 years later, after the events of The Girl and the Witch, Hiochi was sent by Kintoru to follow and kill her descendant, Yosu Masashi, from the school to the maze in the city. Hiochi Masashi Hiochi is a pivotal character in Control's book and overall a major antagonist in The Mimic, serving as the first antagonist of chapter and an unseen yet important character for chapters Control's book Chapter 2 and Control's book Chapter 3. If you talk to her, she says the following. Note that aka Manto is now at the corner of the back entrance of the game, and that Hiochi is now a 5% chance of spawning. Please help me, the fallen king has decided to curse my soul. This was all the story of Hiochi. Next story is about Biwakithi Biwu girl. Biwaki was a young girl who lived with her father, Kato Warfun. Her father would go out for fishing trips to get food for him and Biwaki. One day, her father came home from a fishing trip. With a bow in his hands, he exclaimed that it was from a kind lady he had helped. He began to play it, without knowing it held a curse. After Kato played the bawa, he laid it down on the floor, before it later began to emit black smoke. Biwaki and her father began to sob, and they both fell to the ground. They hugged tightly, before becoming butterfly spirits in each other's arms. Biwaki is inspired by a Japanese goddess named Benzaton Biwaki, also known as Beden. Next story is the Shizas. Shizu, a once sculptor in her life, was carving a stone statue. It turned from stone into a mystical wonder. If only I could muster the courage to start conversations with people, my business would be splendid by now, said the woman herself as she chuckled. In this chapter, Shizu can be seen tied up by black strings at the ancestors' hallway and trapped by Omukad's webs at the end of chapter 3. She continued on carving the stone, turning it into more than a mere splendor that many would enjoy to view. As the sculptor continues to carve the statue, a tall woman appears behind her. She whispered something into the sculptor's ear while handing a butterfly to her. The sculptor squished the butterfly and splattered its goo onto her hands. Weeks had passed. Her business seemed to grow more. She gained money as people were amazed by her talented work. The moon rose into the night breeze. Its beaming light reflected on the sculptor's subtle skin. Slowly, she began turning into a stone statuette that she once sculpted into magnificent images. She stood in the form of a beautiful image, representing a woman reaching for the moon and stars. The last elegant and memorable sight she humanly experienced, that she ever had as her last moments. Next story is about Kuriko. Kuriko was a handicapped girl living in an orphanage. She was always bullied by the other orphans. The only thing that kept her going was a picture of her deceased cat, Pumpkin. She would talk to Pumpkin every night as if her cat is still alive. She missed her cat a lot. Pumpkin was the only one who understood her. Until one day Kuriko got adopted by a servant. Her mother was very kind. She would often comb Kuriko's hair while singing "Son Only One," who'd always cheer. The only one who'd always cheer her up was a friend she made in her village, Hannah, a girl that was ill and forgot her real name, but she has a musical talent. However, one day, Kuriko went out to find Hannah and her family gone from their house. Kuriko waited. 4 years went by, but Hannah never came. Kuriko's Kosakuriko turned her head and saw a lady in black. They chatted for a while about life. After a while, Kuriko and the woman went to a river. Kuriko felt the lady push her into the river. However, she didn't drown as she soon awoke in a cave. She ventured in and saw a sakura tree covered in strings. The strings led Kuriko to a part of the cave that is full of strings hanging from those strings. She saw her friend, Hannah. Kuriko climbed the strings to reach Hannah. Kuriko's vision blurred as she hugs her friend. The last thing she saw was a green butterfly fluttering out of her chest. This was all the monster stories that were in Chapter 1. Chapter 2 monster stories will be coming soon.